Alright. My little ambient wings, my little ambientites. I don't know what to call you guys yet. We're doing snares today. Like, it's just snares. I mean, there isn't really much to talk about, but I'm a W yapper, so you know I'm about to make this shit like 20 minutes long. So my idea for the rest of these tutorials, because it's gonna be like a series type thing, is like I'm slowly teaching you about each of the instruments. So I think I'm gonna like slowly build a beat as we go on, kind of thing. So I already covered ambience, so I made this ambience with my own voice with the technique. I already showed this technique of how to make ambience like this from scratch, but you have to watch the other video. So. I mean, yeah, it's literally just my voice. I mean, if I take the mixing off, I'm gonna embarrass myself, but it's just me humming, bro, with Fruity from Come Over on. I mean, this is pretty basic ambient. Alright, so we're gonna add a snare. So, snares. I would say if you new gens get anything out of this tutorial, please, for the love of God, the number one mistake I hear in new gen tracks is the snare is so damn quiet you can't even hear it, bro. I would much rather the snare be too loud than too quiet. Like, sometimes the snare is so quiet you can't hear it, and like the snare is very important to ambient. I mean, what makes ambient, heavy ambient, what heavy ambient is the drums. Everything else can be changed. The drums have to stick to a certain pattern, because if you deviate too far from the pattern, it's not heavy ambient anymore, because heavy ambient / ambient funk is defined by the drum pattern itself. That's like what the genre is defined by. Kind of like house is defined by its drum pattern, like the boots, like you can put whatever the fuck you want over that beat, but if it's got that boots, it's a house beat. That's the same thing with ambient. You can put whatever the fuck kind of melody, ambience, vocals, whatever type shit. Use whatever instruments you want, but as long as the pattern is consistent, it's pretty much ambient. So, I don't know. What, you gotta pick a snare first, obviously. So, depending on what style you're going for. So, if you're going for like a, why am I in downloads? If you're going for like an OG or a Memphis, you're obviously gonna use Memphis snares. Just like, go through like Memphis kits, bro. Evil Raw is a really good kit. I know this kit's pretty rare. I'm pretty sure it's still rare. I don't know if this kit's rare anymore. Kits get leaked all the time, but the shit used to be rare. But this has a lot of good snares, actually. But for ambient, for OG ambient, you're gonna want like a donkey snare. You're gonna want like a bonky, like a punchy, like this kind of snare. You're gonna want a really punchy donkey snare. I just call him donkey. Not donkey like the animal, but like donk. Like D-O-N-K, donk. Like those cars. Donk cars. Oh, you want like a donk snare. I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but that's what I call them, so. That's for like OG Memphis. If you're going for something like a remix style ambient, like I do a lot, you're gonna want to look for either like a wave snare or a trap snare. So things like that. For wave, I would use shit like, here, I'll show you what kind of snares you use for, what kind of snares you would use for a remix ambient. Well, for remix ambient, you're gonna use more like, just a normal ambient snare. So a normal ambient snare would be like, shit like this. Not like that. Shit like this. Like, okay, these two are the best examples right here. I don't really know how to describe these kind of snares. But yeah. I can't really think of how to describe these kind of snares, but You want like a short but punchy, like kind of flat snare that has a bit of like that ch noise to it. I have no idea how to explain this kind of snare. Like there really is no name for it. It just needs to be a kind of snare, I guess. But for like wave ambient, for like wavy ambient, like I guess I'm the only person who makes wave ambient with like Reese's and shit. You use shit like this. Use like more trappy snares, so like that, or if I go down to my landfill kit here, shit like this. Just use more trappy shit. So it really, the type of snare you use is gonna be dependent on the style you're going for. But like everything in ambient, as long as it sounds good, use it. For you new gens, I understand that trap metal instruments was like a huge thing for me and Skid back in the day because there was no such thing as ambient drum kits, right? So what me and Skid would use when me and Skid were the only two ambient producers ever left for like a whole year, we used trap metal kits. So like Zerky and Zyreal right here. These are actually the original two kits that me and Skid would use to make ambient back in 2021, 2022. I'm gonna say, bro, stop using these snares. This shit is outdated. There's much better sounding snares. Stop using trap metal snares, please. They don't sound good anymore. That's like I'll hear a nice ass ambient track and all I'll hear is like trap metal snares going crazy, bro. Not like this shit's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. Don't use trap metal snares. That shit's outdated. But yeah, this is my like favorite snare right here. This is my most basic ass favorite snare. Motherfuckers know I use this on like every track. So for these tutorial series, I'm just gonna make like a basic ambient beat. It's not gonna be remix. It's not gonna be OG. It's not gonna be wave. It's just gonna be ambient. That's it. It's just gonna be plain ass ambient. So yeah, snare pattern. I usually use the channel rack. This doesn't matter. This isn't really part of the tutorial. I mean, however you fucking put them in, doesn't matter. You should know where snares go, though. You see these up here? These are bars. This is 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bars. And notice it starts at 1. It doesn't start at 0. So when it's at 2, that's 1 bar. This isn't 2 bars. This is 1 bar. And every 4 bars makes a verse. So this is a verse right here. So every bar, you're going to put a snare in the middle of the bar. I don't fucking know how some of you dumbasses mess up snare patterns or get your snares off beat. This is it. This is every single ambient song ever. You will have these same 4 snares. You will have these same 4 snares. Guaranteed. Unless you like cut one off the end for a little delay kind of effecty thingy. Or there's very, very specific special case scenarios. But for the love of God, bro. Every ambient song should have this basic ass snare pattern right here. You could add more onto it, but it should at least have this. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot is BPM anywhere from 135 all the way up to like 170 would be pretty fast. I would say stick to 135 to 160 for ambient. My golden tempo, my golden BPM is 155. I love this. It's my favorite BPM for ambient. There. This is the most basic pattern. And then sometimes you can add a little flair at the end. So use these little third things right here. So you'll see. Don't ever put don't ever put snares on the 2nd or 4th unless you're trying to create a roll or like a triplet pattern. Again, those are like advanced shits for you fucking smooth brains, bro. So just stick to the 1st and the 3rd. So you can put one like here. As you can see, it creates a little pattern. Don't go, but the other thing is, don't go too crazy with the snares. It's ambient still. Remember, at the end of the day, it's still ambient. It's still like a slower paced like, I know the BPM's 155, but it's still like a slower paced genre. Don't go absolutely hog wild with the fucking snares, doing all this kind of shit like this, bro. Like don't go crazy, bro. It's not that serious. It's ambient. It's not that hard to make sound good. So, an easy pattern that I would go for, do like these little third things. Or, usually what I do is I don't play anything in between. I'll put something on the end like this. Just one at the end. Or two, like this. I mean, this is like my signature snare pattern right here. So, that's pretty much it for patterning, I swear to God. Please, don't do crazy shit with your snares. They're literally snares. You can do crazy shit with your hi-hats and your 808s. It's fucking snares, bro. It's fucking snares. Like oh my, it's just snares. Just relax. When it's just snares, you just need to relax. Go easy on the snares, bro. They didn't do nothing to you. Alright. Another thing, say I did add like these little third things right here. Like these little tertiary or secondary snares or whatever you want to say. Sometimes play with the velocity, put them down or something, I don't know. You know, just play with the velocity, like put it down maybe. I mean, listen to it, it sounds kind of cool. This is this. Like it adds a little bit of variation to it. It creates more, what's a good word for it? It creates more like texture, if that makes sense. Music is all about visualizing what you're hearing. If that makes sense. Like, that's why we have FL Studio. That's why we can visualize all the knobs and we can visualize the patterns and stuff. It's all about visualizing it. So, like, create more texture to your songs. Or you could put, like, maybe like one right here, and I don't even know how this is gonna sound. You know? Like, just play around with it. Play around. But again, don't get too crazy. It's just snares. Another thing you can do for snares is, you can layer your snares. So, layering your snares, say you can't find a snare that you want, right? Say you find a donkey snare that's got the punch to it, but it doesn't got the to it. It doesn't got the oomph to it, right? And then say you find a snare that's got the to it, but it doesn't have the punch and the donkiness to it. So what you can do is you can layer both those snares together. So layering your snares, and I don't do this a lot, so I'm not the best at it. So I'm just gonna take like two random ass snares, like this one. And I don't know, this one. These aren't gonna sound good together, but I'm just trying to prove my point here. So what you do, and this one's muted, by the way. The first one's muted, so actually I'll just delete it because you smooth brains don't like be confused if I don't. So you can layer snares. So this is what the snare will sound like. This one on its own. Oh shit. Oh yeah, if you ever put a sample in here and it just keeps replaying more than you put it down, just turn off loop points right here. Just turn off use loop points. Alright, now if we layer it, it'll sound different. I mean, obviously this combination sounds like absolute dog shit, but like you get my point. You know, you can layer snares to get different sounds. There isn't really a lot of tips and tricks to snares. I mean, snares are probably the most basic part of the track besides maybe open hats. So, okay, for mixing. So, mixing, let me mix this, this ambience real quick. Let me just... By the way, the last video, I teach you how to mix ambience, so if you need help doing that, again, need any help with the ambience, Go back to the other video. So what you do here, okay, this is the way I mix. So you click this little box right here, and then you right click this, go to channel routing, and route select the channel to this track. Boom, it's in here now. Alright, so mixing, let's just finish this up real quick. I'll put like a fucking fast distortion on this. So I know like I'm gonna get yelled at for a lot of by a lot of professional producers and shit, because this is like wrong, but I make ambient, so I don't give a fuck. But I mix up to this little notch, this top notch right here. There's little notches in the mixer. This is 0 decibels. That's what I mix to. I mix to 0 decibels. Because I'm a fucking boss like that. It doesn't have to be exact, but I mean, mix to whatever you want. I don't care. I just mix to 0 decibels because my ears are shot from making 2 years of drift funk and then now 3 years of ambient. So after 5 years of loud ass distorted genres, my fucking ears bleed every time. So, all right. Now there's gonna be like two. I don't want to say that. The snare doesn't have to be mixed to here. Don't ever mix your snare to whatever 0 decibels or whatever notch you're mixing to. Don't mix it to that. You want your snare to go through the fucking ceiling because your snare needs to dominate the track. When that snare goes oomph, you need to feel it. I'm so sick and tired of these new gen tracks where like the snare hits and it's like a little fucking wet fart, bro, and nothing happens, bro. Like what the fuck? Like put some oomph into your fucking snares. Make them audible. Make them audible. I don't fucking know. I was gonna say make them visible, but that wouldn't make any sense. Alright. So, I don't know. Volume boost it, soft clipper it, whatever you need to do to get that snare really loud. This is how I hear you guys' snares on your track. That's what your guys' snares be sounding like. Like, get that bitch up there. Oh shit. Alright, Alright, so we're gonna cut the low ends off. Now with the snare, you see there's gonna be a little peak. There's gonna be somewhere towards this back end, there's gonna be a little mountain that sticks up. You need to find it. So let's play it. Alright, so mine's right here. Mine's like right here. You can see it. Right there. So I need to like I want to cut as much low end out right before that, because I want to preserve that little mountain. That little mountain, that little peak right there on the low end, that's my punchiness. That's the punchiness to your snare. So this low end that sticks up, this little mountain, that's the punch, that's the donk to your snare. And then the peak over here in this area is the oosh to your snare. The middle is like, the middle's there. It just adds fullness to the snare. So what you want to do is you want to find that peak. So mine's right here, right? And I'm gonna boost it up with an EQ, another EQ. Well, now it sounds really drowned out and muddy. So what I do is you're gonna reboost up that because your donk's too high. So now, hear how much better that snare sounds? Hear how like it sounds like dry and crispy or some shit, like a dry crunchy leaf. This sounds like a nice, wet, green, just beautiful leaf on a tree. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but yeah. Like, it's not a dry, crunchy leaf anymore, bro. Like, no, deadass, this snare literally sounds like a dry, crunchy leaf, bro. Like, but now that we boost it, it's a young, healthy, green leaf again. So, yeah. But yeah, that's literally it. It's all you need to do for snare mixing. This is my snare mixing. If you want to vary off a little bit, I don't fucking know. Stock clippers, parametric EQs. Sometimes you can put a little bit of distortion on it to like give it some more power to it. What else could you do to your snare that I'm thinking of? I don't know, just volume boost it. Maybe play around with the stereo. I explained how mono and stereo works in the last tutorial, so if you need to learn that, go back again. Just watch the tutorials in order, and you're gonna understand how to make ambient. So just watch them in order as they come out, and your little baby ass is gonna be able to make ambient. All right, perfect. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a snare. It's not complicated. I see crazy ass snare mixing. I see crazy ass snare patterns. Like, chill. It's a fucking snare. It hits fucking once every bar. Like, it's a snare. Like, we'll teach you the crazy shit. We'll get to the crazy shit later. This is ambient. It's a simplistic experimental genre. It is not like trap metal or whatever the fuck, Daria core or some weird ass shit where fucking lolly core where it's like fucking 10,000 instruments playing at once, bro. It's ambient. Take it slow, take it simple. Just be methodical with your ambient. But yeah, that's all there is to it. That's how you make snares. And yeah, alright.